I say prescient incending. The United States has granted the Philippines their independence.
Swears in Vice President Sergio Osmeña as
If a
president.
prosperous and free democracy can be built in the Philippines,
The Republic of the Philippines
ang atong kasing-kasing niawit.
The hard election drive pays off and Macapagal wins.
Taking the entire Philippines under martial law.
I have always been a firm advocate of peace.
We are today being hailed as the new Asian Tiger Cup.
walang kaibigan, walang kumpare.
A strong republic is the bedrock.
Kayo ang boss ko.
Do not destroy my country because I will kill you.
Let's backtrack to the 1992 senatorial elections. The people power fever was still very strong. And yet, those people who were behind people power and EDSA still had to make sure that none or no one from the Marcos past would be able to make a comeback. In the 1992 senatorial elections, there were two exceptions. It was dominated by candidates chosen by Cory Aquino, the president back then, but there were two exceptions. This is Juan Ponce Enrile, defense minister of Marcos, and the other exception was Senator Joseph Estrada. So they won, despite the campaign against people associated with Marcos from making a comeback to power. So that tells you how popular Erap Estrada is. During his term as a senator, because he was very strong, he had a strong masa appeal, it was almost a shoe-in that he would run in the next presidential election. And in 1998, in a field of, I think it was 7 candidates, which is a lot of candidates for a presidential election, Erap won by a landslide, 11 million votes.
Bagong Pangulo ng Bansang Pilipinas, Pangulong Joseph Ejercito Estrada.
Sa abot ng aking makakaya, bibigyan natin ang masa ng disenteng tahanan, sapat na pagkain at pag-asa sa hinaharap.
Tandaan natin na ang laging sinasabi kay Erap, bobo siya. Kasi ang ginagawa nating measure ng katalinuhan ng tao, yung pag-Ingles. Eh siya, binaligtad niya yun. Kasama niya si Relly Herman, ginawa nila yung eruptions. Yung mga jokes ni Erap tungkol sa kanyang pag-Ingles. Yung mga jokes na yon, ang dating, natuwa sa kanya kahit yung mga mayayaman nung inilabas yung librong yun. Sabi daw ng doktor ni Erap, tinanong siya, Mr. President, have you ever been asthmatic? Sabi ni Erap, no, never. I've always been a Catholic.
We will fight beyond electoral victory.
Hi, I'm Joseph Victor J.V. Ejercito. I'm the son of former President Joseph Estrada, former mayor also, former congressman, and former senator. Yun yung height niya eh. Peak ng career nila, late 60s, 70s eh. Sila ni FPJ talagang kinikilalang superstars, no? Ng Philippine movies. Kaya lang that time, yung San Juan, parang marami nakiusap sa kanya, yung mga organizations, even the parish priest. Kasi ngayon San Juan, parang no man's land, no? Parang siga-siga noon eh. Ang uso noon, kung sinong siga, siya ang mananalo, siya ang mayor. Parang warlordism ang uso noon, di ba? Maraming holdapan, yung pamamalakad dito, parang sindikato. Ang encourage sa kanya to run for mayor were the organizations. So parang yun yung naalala ko kinikwento niya. Kaya napuyat sa siya tumakbo bilang mayor.
Tandaan natin na si Joseph Estrada, bago naging presidente, hindi lang naman siya artista. Mahaba yung experience ni Erap as mayor of San Juan. So, nag-local government muna siya. So, yun ang isang advantage niya. At sa local government, marami siyang innovations na nagawa. No? In fact, bago pa man ginawa yung Build, Operate, Transfer Scheme, no? Yung ginagawa muna ng gobyerno yung infrastructure, tapos pinapa-take over sa mga businesses. No? Ginagawa na ni ERAP yan dun sa San Juan. No? Yung Agora Market, nagpatayo siya ng mga police stations, ng mga health centers, halimbawa. Tapos, si ERAP din ay kinomputerize niya yung tax collection. Siya yung isa sa mga unang nagpa-computerize na local government.
His educational background was not as impressive as most politicians. Most of his peers in the Senate was actually in his favor. Precisely because of his lack of high education, he was seen as more relatable to the masses. He was seen as somebody who was more empathetic and sympathetic to the majority of the Filipinos. So that didn't work against him.
Yung word masa was first popularized, talagang nakilala nung panahon na si Presidente ERAP kumakandidato na. Diba? Parang after niya nanalo, lahat na lang naging makamasa na eh. Diba? Pero ang talagang nagbigay ng talagang kahulugan o kaya importance and meaning ng masa in the national politics, it was ERAP. No, na college dropout, ordinaryo lang siya, hindi siya hindi kilalang aral.
Which is not true. He graduated. Yun yung kinakalaan niya, kinokorek niya. Engineering graduate siya, civil engineering. But not in Ateneo. MAPWA, sabi niya MAPWA. MAPWA, Institute of Technology. High school, di ba na-kick out siya. He was sent to a military boys' school sa Baguio na dating counterpart ng PMA. He finished his high school there na military. Na, kasi parang may discipline nga. Tapos yun nga sa MAPWA, civil engineering. As I understood it, hindi lang siya nag-exam, nag-licensure. Pero graduate siya.
Sanay tayo na presidents that parang merong kordon, ano. Not everyone can really approach the leader, ano, dahil security. Pero kay ERAP, kasi mas gusto niya pa na nalalapitan siya. Si ERAP that time is the kind of leader na kapag launch yung event, hindi yan kakain kung hindi kakain lahat. Lalo na sa mga sa depressed area o sa mga sa urban poor communities when napupunta siya. Siguraduhin niya na everyone is with him, na kakain siya, kakain din ng lahat. Hindi yung parang magkaiba ng walang division ng na porket you're an official or you're an ordinary person. Yun ang kaibahan niya. So meron siyang EQ talaga. Kung pinipindasan man na parang hindi man ganun comparable yung IQ sa iba naging presidente natin, EQ-wise, talo niya lahat yan.
I would say it was probably the brightest cabinet appointments since Ferdinand Marcos. That's how impressive his cabinet appointments were.
Galit na sa kanya ang media, umpisa pa lang. Galit sa kanya ang simbahan, umpisa pa lang. Galit ang oligarch sa kanya.
Obvious naman kasi noon marami namang ma-highlight. Why would you highlight in the case of Manila Times? Oo, alangaw, landing in the face of the president and make it a big picture.
My full name is Maria Leonora Vasquez de Jesus, and I was the PMS head under the Estrada administration for about a year and a half, I think, and then I transferred to become the housing chair for about a year. I don't personally know President Estrada, except that during the time of President Ramos, and I was also PMS head during that time, I had the chance to interact with Vice President Estrada perhaps twice during the 4 years I was with President Ramos. And these encounters were something like this. At the end of the cabinet meeting, if President and Vice President would leave, I'd stand up and say, "Good afternoon, Mr. Vice President." And that was all. And I don't really know him personally. So it came as a surprise when I was told that from some friends when he filed his certificate of candidacy for president, that President Estrada was thinking of me to become his PMS head.
Kumuha siya ng matatalinong tao para mamuno sa gabinete niya, di ba? Sina Horacio Boy Morales sa agriculture, di ba? Gemma Cruz Araneta sa tourism, lahat ng gabinete niya, bagay na bagay doon sa kanilang trabaho.
When President Estrada filed his certificate for candidacy, he agreed to have a meeting with me, with some other people who wanted to meet with him. And he was talking to me about his experiences as senator and as vice president. And then out of the blue, he says, Lenny, if I become president, pwede ba akong makiusap sa'yo? And I said, sir, bakit ho? Kung sakasakali lang na masaswertihin ako, makikiusap ako na samahan mo ako sa Malacanang. And I said, ha? Bakit? I said, sir, ang hirap ng trabaho doon sa Malacanang. And then he said, pero kailangan ko ng tulong eh. And I was thinking, wow naman, such fantastic human relation skills, right?
Sabi nga nila, ang best set of cabinet secretaries ay nung panahon ni ERAP. Talagang hand-picked na magagaling talaga na kahit na, kumbaga, ang kailangan na lang gawin ng presidente is to really think na parang papaano mo i-follow up lahat yung proyekto doon sa mga cabinet secretaries na yun. Really confident.
Kasi kinuha niya, hindi makilala niya, hindi niya kaibigan. So parang nagkaroon ng talagang search committee sa bawat field kung sino yung magagaling. So he was able to assemble, to put together cabinet professionals and experts, no, in their own fields. Kaya marami nagsasabi rin na his cabinet was one of the best up to now. Na in that short span of 2 years.
If you take a look at the members of the cabinet, you have Bart Apnachers there, right? You have a number of PACs. You have Dr. Philip Medalla, Dr. Ben Jokno, and you have the best energy expert in the country there, Mario Chowki. They are not only bright, they're very decent and they're very honest people, known in their particular circles to be as such. President Estrada made sure that all of our contracts during the time were above board. As you can see, during the time that he was out of office, I don't think there was a single contract that was the subject of a corruption case against President Estrada coming from the cabinet. So all the allegations were private sector funds and the stock market and all that stuff. But so yes, he did pick, I think, the best and the brightest that he knew came from the different sectors. And I think what was touching about President Estrada was that if, let us say, he finds Lance as the expert in agriculture, he will go out of his way to talk to you and invite you. It's like, siya yung may utang na loob sa'yo. It's not like, you wanna work with me, utang na loob mo sa akin if I appoint you. In the case of President Estrada, siya yung nakikiusap na, I know you're the best in this field, can you work for me?
Unfortunately, there was a lot of rumors about what was then coined as the Midnight Cabinet. The circle of ERAP compares and friends, usually associated to gambling and wedding, who were supposedly hanging out at the palace until the wee hours of the morning. And the impression that was leaking out in media was that it was this cabinet that had more influence over the president than the actual cabinet.
Wala namang katotohanan yung Midnight Cabinet na yan. It was just a concoction, probably paninira sa kanya. Galit na sa kanya ang media, umpisa pa lang. Galit sa kanya ang simbahan, umpisa pa lang. Galit ang oligarch sa kanya, business groups, umpisa pa lang. Because he was not part of their circle. Yung mga things like those, yung mga Midnight Cabinet, siguro totoo naman after na ng work, meron siya mga kinakausap, ganyan. Pero wala ako nakikitang may Midnight Cabinet that makes decisions. Kasi as I mentioned, major decisions, major policies under his administration were carried out by his cabinet.
Admittedly, maraming intriga or there are lots of critical reporting done by media towards the end of ERAP's short-lived presidency. As reporters, we were very curious, how will ERAP pull off being the chief executive and how will he govern the land? So there was a genuine enthusiasm and a genuine curiosity of how ERAP will do as president.
Obvious naman kasi noon marami namang ma-highlight. Why would you highlight in the case of Manila Times? Oo, Langaw landing in the face of the president and make it a big picture. Although nakaka-ambush interview kami sa kanya, kasi mas mukhang tao ka nga niyan, dinadapuan ka ng Langaw. Hindi, nilalaro nila ako, binabastos nila presidency. Huwag na ako, yung presidency na lang. Yun ang kanyang point, which we realized, may point naman talaga. If you don't respect me, respect the presidency. Kaya sabi nga namin, mas tao ka nga yan, pinadapuan ka ng Langaw. Pero hindi, feeling niya, nababastos ang presidency noon. Tapos yung may isang incident sa PDI. Kasi nung day 1 pa lang yun, yung Vandanur. Yung ininom daw niya yung alak before Vatican representative Pontiff, di ba siya yung head of the diplomatic corps, can even toast. Unfortunately, the reporter who made that report was not even there at the event. He was covering from the TV, and the editors naman ng Inquirer, overblown, exaggerated everything. Kaya nagalit siya ng gusto.
Just to show you how negative media portrayal of ERAP was. There was a time that ERAP gave the cabinet members these confiscated vehicles, the Pajeros, the Lexus, and so on. But they were confiscated because they were smuggled into the country, and technically they were going to be disposed of. So he started lending them to us and saying that I want my cabinet members to have representation because you are going to be dealing with people who are very rich, and I want you to have some respectability, and gave us these better cars. That was in the papers and in the headlines for about 3 months or 4 months until we decided to give them up. But it was, compared to the issues that you would probably see from the succeeding presidencies, that was so minor, right? We gave them up. The little things were all blown out of proportion. So it's surprising to us now that, at least to me, I see a lot of more significant, critical issues affecting our national life, but they are not played up anymore.
Naging paborito siya ng media sa mga, kung kunwari yung nagkakamali siya. So alam mo, may speech siya nung naging presidente siya na, ang dami-dami na namang photographer. Sabi niya, hinihintay nilang magkamali ako. Ganun yung tingin niya lagi sa media na parang hinihintay na magkamali siya. Nakita niya na yung media ay kalaban niya. Inquirer din, dahil critical sa kanya, of course, sasabihin niya na hindi nila to in-encourage. Pero, bigla na lang na nag-boycott ng ads yung mga pelikula. Yun ang isang lifeline ng dyaryo. Ay yung mga ads na tumatakbo sa isang dyaryo, lalo na yung mga pelikula. Si ERAP ay galing sa movie industry. So, yung mga kaibigan ni ERAP ngayon pala, So, binabasa namin yung Inquirer, walang movies na nakalagay, movie posters. Of course, people thought na, naku, bumabalik na naman yung panahon ni Marcos na idol nitong si Joseph Estrada. What went wrong was that nagsimula yan sa isang sirena. Si Chavit ay inaaresto dahil sa isang wangwang.
He was bombarded, he was really under attack. Nobody is defending him in Congress, and yet he's the most popular guy.
Probably one of the darkest moments in our lives. In fact, kala nga namin, baka hindi niya kayanin, no? Kasi sakit nung paninira sa kanya, demonized. He was demonized.
What what went wrong was that nagsimula yan sa isang sirena. Early October of 2000. I can remember this. Ako'y high school na noon. Na si Chavit ay inaaresto dahil sa isang wangwang na nakalagay sa kanyang sasakyan. Na ang interpretation niya, hindi, papatayin nila ako. Dahil meron na silang hidwaan ni Erap dahil nga ang gusto ng paboran ay itong si Charlie Atongan. Doon nag-start na si Chavit pumunta kay Cardinal Sin, humingi ng basbas, at nagsimula yung mga hearing sa Kongreso na sinasabi niya na si Joseph Estrada, anti-wetting siya ay anti-sugal, pero siya pala yung Lord of all wetting lords. Yun yung declaration ni Chavit. At lumabas na nga na sinasabi nila na may mga witnesses sila, so umugong na yung tinatawag na impeachment.
It's not just about the wedding, it's about the mansions, the affairs. So, kumilos yung ibang mga media groups in doing more investigative work at lalabas dun sa mga mini-diaryos na kumakalat na nandoon yung mga laman ng expose, like yung Boracay Mansion, kung sino yung mga naging babae, tapos yung family tree ng mga Estrada. So, nandun lahat pinapakilala na the other side of ERAP, dun sa mahal ng masa na ERAP versus yung ERAP kapag wala na sa harap ng masa.
I was in housing during the impeachment. Okay. A lot of things that were said there really also surprised us. These were things we never learned of, including that signature of the check that he signed in supposedly another person. I had to check my calendars. When did this happen? And I figured that was the time I was not in Malacanang at that time that it happened. And I couldn't believe that he signed it, Jose Velarde, right? You know why? President Estrada, when he sees a stranger, his body language is he withdraws. And he will ask, sino yun? So I'd say, how could he sign that if he's not familiar with the persons asking him to sign? So I really don't know the circumstances behind it or what was really behind that.
Ganyan talaga eh. Nagkamali ako. Marami akong pinagkatiwalaan na nagtraidor sa akin. Siyempre malungkot lahat. Tapos the darkest moments, probably one of the darkest moments in our lives. In fact, kala nga namin, baka hindi niya kayanin, no? Kasi ang sakit nung paninira sa kanya, demonized. He was demonized. Talagang for 2 years. Siyempre, nag-aggravate nung impeachment na, pero for 2 years. Talagang he was never given the honeymoon that he deserved. Nung umakit siya mag-isa, kala namin baka barilin niya sarili niya or something like that. Siyempre, hindi mawawala sa amin yan. So, those are the darkest moments in our lives.
All the Filipino people are set and hereby file a complaint for impeachment against the President of the Philippines.
At the time that there was already this envelope and all of a sudden I could hear all the cars and the call to go to EDSA from where I was here in Makati. We were so surprised. What's really happening here? And in Malacanang, I still had my assistant in PMS as they had the legal PMS. No? And he was telling me that, Mom, a lot of people here are asking the President to stay put.
Malala na yung sitwasyon when the envelope wasn't open. Yung controversial na yun, na envelope doon sa Senado. So, alam na namin sa Malacanang press ko na everything's fluid, anything can happen. May mga damit na kami sa mga cubicle namin doon, just in case na may mangyari nga na i-lockdown yun or whatever. I remember may mga cabinet secretaries na labas-masok, pero may mga cabinet secretaries na hindi na lumabas. So meaning the loyal ones stayed inside the palace, but those who went out of the main palace, in about 15 minutes, we'll see them in EDSA joining the forces that's anti-ERAP already. No?
The military generals and the police were telling him, don't leave because we have you fully covered here. And we are in control of the place and our troops will be coming in from. And you know what he said? kahit isang Pilipinong mamatay, dahil I stayed on, hindi sulit yung presidency. Sabi niya, I am going to leave because I do not want anybody hurt.
So overnight, going on a weekend, and we were informed that the family's packing up things. They were getting ready to leave the palace. But you know, it didn't happen like right away. So kinabukasan pa nangyari na bigla na lang bumukas yung main gate that separates the main palace from the Kalayaan Hall, and nagtakbuhan na kami. And true enough, pagdating namin doon, we first saw the cabinet secretaries who stayed because they're loyal. Nandun sila sa pintuan nung residential area, and di sila nagsasalita kung ano mangyayari. Pero we sort of knew because yung sa barge, parang nire-ready na para makakross sa Ilog Pasig yung family. So, kagulo na ang media.
Naniniwala po ako na pagkatapos ng ito, ang buong katotohanan din ang magwawagas.
We all know that the impeachment trial was cut short by EDSA Dos. It's a matter that was a subject of an impeachment trial in the Senate, but it never made it to court. So we will never know. He was convicted of plunder, but he was pardoned. So I think if you go by the court decision in this matter, he was convicted of plunder.
A lot can be said about President Estrada. Sabi ko nga, he's less than perfect. He has so many flaws, no? Admittedly, pero yung kanyang pagmamahal, yung kanyang pagbigay importance, kapag meron successes, siyempre natutuwa siya. Meron pa rin yung pagmamahal niya sa masa, nandoon. Let history be the final judge.
But his presidency was more a tragedy. He was a president loved by the people. The people empathized with him, and he empathized with the people, with the poor of this country.
It was during Erap's time na 6% ang growth ng agriculture. DAR came from international UN agency na talagang pinaligid niya. Tapos sabi nga niya, kwento niya, ang pinaka-rule niya, rule number 1, ayusin niyo lahat ng kontrata niya sa gobyerno. Kasi pag nakulong ako niyan, kasama ko kayong makakulong.
He took over right after the Asian crisis. Bagsak na bagsak ang Pilipinas noon. And after only a year or two, yung peso nag-appreciate, no? In fact, natalo na natin o pantay na tayo sa Thai baht at the time. Umabot tayo ng 35 to $1.
Isang controversial din na ginawa niya, na galit yung mga congressman sa kanya, yung abolishment of the pork barrel. Ano yun nasa State of the Nation address siya, tapos sinabi niya na i-abolish na yung pork barrel. Palakpakan yung mga tao sa gallery, pero walang pumalakpak sa mga congressman.
History is always written by the victors. Now, how will he be remembered? Ordinarily, he will be remembered by what has been written about him, which may be true or untrue. But he will be remembered in a different way from people who know him personally, like us and the rest of the cabinet members. We would say that he had sincerity in being able to help the people. He may have his unusual ways, which may not be acceptable to many others, but if you don't know him, you won't believe it, right?